Developing today. Is there a royal family sex tape? And how concerned is Buckingham Palace about this development? Of course, for a long time, there were fears that videos of Meghan Markle that had been recorded during her time in Hollywood could find their way into the public domain. On the whole, that was able to be contained. And I should be clear, we are talking here about naked imagery, naked videos, rather than actual any type of sexual interaction on camera, as far as I am aware. However, shock new reporting from Rob Shooter claims that the Kremlin in Russia may hold a Prince Andrew sex tape and the royal family is in panic mode. Here's his reporting. High-level fears swirled that explosive Epstein footage has landed in Moscow. The monarchy's worst nightmare may be real. Shooter Scoop has learned from multiple intelligence sources that a sex tape allegedly showing Prince Andrew on Jeffrey Epstein's infamous island is believed to exist and could now be in the hands of Russian operatives. This is not gossip, says a US national security insider. Officials in the US and UK take the existence of this tape seriously and believe it was smuggled to Moscow. The alarming claims stem from former Florida deputy John Mark Dugan, who fled to Russia with Epstein's digital files. Dugan has publicly stated he possesses compromising footage involving the disgraced royal and has shared info with Kremlin-linked contacts. This is compromat. Another intel source warns if Russia has this tape, they could blackmail Andrew or worse, destabilize the crown. Buckingham Palace has refused to comment, but insiders say the fear is very real. If the tape ever surfaces, the monarchy wouldn't survive, it says one palace source. This isn't tabloid scandal, it's national security. So, Brittany, a lot to pick up on here. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, I should say. Because, firstly, this would not end the royal family. Let's just be very, very clear about that. They have weathered Prince Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, okay? It's been bad. It's been incredibly difficult. It meant the late Queen Elizabeth II had to actually jettison her favourite son, even though she went to her death absolutely convinced that that son was innocent. So let's just be clear. I think we've got to be really careful when we're talking about this that we don't get into hyperbole. I don't think it would finish the British royal family. But of course, these revelations will be a concern. And it is one of the reasons why Prince William has pushed for more of a significant split, I guess, between the royal family and Prince Andrew for so long. But Brittany, it's interesting because a lot of people thought that the Meghan Markle naked videos could really damage the royal family. And that didn't come to pass. So what's your view on this reporting?
Well, I think when it comes to Andrew in this situation, we all know he's a buffoon. We all know that he is apparently sex crazed. And so I don't think a tape would be a huge surprise. Now, obviously, if there's an underage person involved, if there's something particularly egregious that's part of the tape, obviously, I think that's a cause for concern. But when it comes to the royal family, I think regardless of whether the tape exists or not, I think this is another example of how, when it comes to the members of the royal family, there has to be structures in place to punish royals when they have stepped out of line, when they compromise the broader institution, which I think is what Harry and Meghan and Andrew have all done. And I think it's critically important to have those avenues and not have this sort of wishy-washy thing that Charles does, where he has something where, Andrew and Harry and Meghan are on the royal website as if they're somehow still part of this. And it's like, no, take them off. It doesn't make any sense. And so I think this tape probably would not shock people even if it did come out. And again, unless there's something particularly egregious on it. But it's another reminder of that the Andrew problem is not going away. And Charles has to figure out a way to deal with it where Andrew is not a problem in the future, and showing that there is a separation, that the royal family takes those who violate whatever structures that they have very seriously, because otherwise this will be a problem in the future.
If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today. It really will. It really will, Brittany. Why do you think Meghan Markle was so successful in getting her own naked videos removed from the internet? Because it's difficult to do.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really ever heard that rumor, so I can't really say for sure anything on that topic. So, I mean, it could be that they never existed in the first place, so it's not hard to remove something that never existed. But when it comes to Meghan, I know there have been like deep fakes that have been created about her and those sorts of things. So that is, I think, disturbing on multiple levels, not only for her, but potentially other members of the royal family. So there's a lot of things going on the internet that are out of the royal family's control. So again, it's about controlling what they can. And in this particular situation, it's Andrew and Harry and Meghan. These are the problem areas, and you need to figure out a way to more severely separate them from the monarchy to contain it, because there are situations, we have some in Norway, we had a bit in Belgium and stuff like that, where scandals can erode the trust and the foundations of the monarchy for sure.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And I mean, I guess there was always going to be a risk with Meghan Markle, particularly though, given she had lived so much life. And she'd lived a Hollywood life, and she'd lived a life that had been very focused on filming lots of stuff on her mobile phone, as lots of young women in Hollywood do. And look, I let me be very clear, because I have seen the footage. It's certainly not a sex tape, but it is naked imagery. So put it this way, I've seen more of Meghan Markle than I have Prince Andrew. So I think the proof is going to be in the pudding here about whether anything actually exists. Brittany, Jessica Mulroney has now told close friends that she regrets ever becoming close with Meghan. Now that she is divorced from her very wealthy husband, this could, I think, put Meghan's reputation at real risk, because trust me, I want to read her book, right? I want to hear a podcast interview with Jessica Mulroney. So this is the reporting from Alison Boshoff in the Daily Mail, who writes here, surprisingly at root, one well-placed source says that Jessica herself traces her current unhappiness back not to her bruising online scandal, but to that glorious day in 2018 when she watched her then best friend walk down the aisle of St. George's Chapel in Windsor. So much so that now, rather than looking back on her brush with history with pride, a perfectly placed source reveals Jessica says that now she somewhat regrets becoming friends with Meghan. While she enjoyed all the exposure it brought her at the time, that same exposure is what caused her social media rift to blow up in the way it did and led to the end of her friendship with Meghan and her marriage. The source adds, if she could go back, a part of her wishes she was never part of that wedding. She really did consider Meghan family, but now she sees that whole time as a dark cloud. While she apparently delivered the coup de grace, this is Meghan's ultimate sort of slight to Jessica Mulroney. Let me just set it up earlier this year, when actress and comedian Mindy Kaling, Jessica's most famous client before Meghan, was invited onto her lifestyle TV show With Love Meghan. Was it a message to her former friend, as one source put it with some restraint? That seemed very cruel. And I mean, Brittany, Meghan has been way more than cruel to Jessica Mulroney. She's been evil, right? She's been truly evil, because trust me, I know what it's like when you're the center of a cancellation storm. And what you need, Brittany, when you're going through something like that, is your best friends, the people who really know you, the people who know your true character, to stand by you, to be there for you, and to speak up for you. And of course, Meghan was not prepared to do that for Jessica Mulroney at all. Now, I have no idea if Jessica Mulroney is a horrible person or not, but what I do know is that she never said anything racist, and she certainly didn't do anything to slight Meghan Markle. She just referred to the fact that she had been through someone who had gone through a big race scandal. And for Meghan to brutally cut her off on the way that she did was so disgusting. And so, look, I want to hear from Jessica desperately, actually. But do you think we will get any type of revelations, or is she going to stay silent and hope one day that Meghan will take her back?
I mean, it'll be so interesting to see because I've always wondered why Jessica has maintained her silence. And really, honestly, bravo for her for not taking, you could say, the low hanging fruit of just railing over her friend. And Jessica is, you could argue, almost a true friend because she has kept her confidences. But I am curious, given now that she has had this divorce and everything, if she is reconsidering a lot of things that she's done in her life. And it's not maybe necessarily about, let's say, trying to railroad Meghan Markle the way she did Jessica, but really just sharing the truth and sharing the truth about her experiences with Meghan and how horribly Meghan treated her over something that I would argue is really quite minor. And Meghan was just like, oh, thankfully, finally, Jessica did something where I can just totally cut her off. And not only did Meghan cut off Jessica, but Jessica's three children as well, who were all played prominent roles in her wedding. She was like essentially their aunt slash godmother sort of thing. And Meghan probably cut them off as well. And that to me seems particularly cruel, especially over something that I think is so innocuous and was just something to blow past. And how great would it have been for Meghan as a friend to go, I stand by Jessica. I support, maybe not support, but in some way share how much she knows who Jessica is and knows that what people are saying about her just isn't true. But no, Meghan just fed her to the wolves. And I can't help but think that Jessica probably resents her quite a bit for it. And it caused a lot of conflict within her marriage and other relationships to have somebody who you trusted so much and just completely and utterly exploited you the first chance that they got.
Brittany, I also wanted to ask you about Martha Stewart going for Meghan Markle in a very tasteful manner, because, of course, we know the beef between these two, or maybe not beef, it's sort of like pasta, isn't it? Because the row was over the one pot pasta, and the fact that Meghan just ripped off her one pot pasta has been going on for months. But she was so classy when she was asked about Meghan, because what she did, and this is why I love Martha Stewart, is she made it very clear that she was casting some shade, but she was only doing it because she was asked the question. And I also want to just get Megyn Kelly to set up this video because I loved her response to watch.
When she took a turn to Ms. Markle, it sounded a little different. Take a listen.
What is it like to watch other celebrities, Gwyneth Paltrow, Meghan Markle, going in your footsteps and following something that you've really started?
I don't mind. I don't mind. Good luck. And Gwyneth's been very successful, by the way. I think she's created quite an interesting body of businesses. She's admired. She's a fantastic. She won an Oscar, for heaven's sake, as an actress. She's pretty powerful. Meghan, I don't really know very well, and I hope she knows what she's talking about. Authenticity to me is everything, and to be authentic and knowledgeable about your subject matter is extremely important.
That is such a classic and effective Martha Stewart burn. She's like, the other is a know-nothing faker who's just glomming onto me and my brand.
I thought Brittany Megyn Kelly translated what Martha Stewart was really saying so well there.
Oh, yeah. And it was something that I've talked a lot about when it comes to As Ever and Meghan, too. Meghan claims to, be this happy homemaker on her show and this wonderful hostess and all these sorts of things. And yet she admits several times to basically taking takeout and making it look fancy. She didn't even make Thanksgiving last year. She ordered it out. And so I think the big trouble with Meghan and Martha Stewart, of course, who knows this industry very well, probably just picked up on it immediately, is that Meghan doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not actually interested in this space, and she comes across as fake. She's a know-nothing. She's attempting to just basically capitalize off a royal title to make money. And the only thing Meghan has going for her is that royal title, and that's it. And Martha Stewart and Gwyneth Paltrow as well. They have worked really, really hard, especially Gwyneth. I look at her Instagram. She's constantly putting out content, whereas Meghan will disappear for weeks at a time and not do or say anything, which makes zero sense because in order to actually have an impact, you need to be constantly putting things online, actually interacting with people. And it's something Meghan refuses to do. And it comes back to that lack of authenticity and lack of the fact that she's not really passionate about her topic because she doesn't do it at all. And so she has nothing to film. So I think Martha Stewart definitely picked up on a lot of great things there.
Brittany, one other thing I wanted to pick up on from the past week was Maureen Callahan's analysis with Kinsey Schofield about why Meghan Markle would have spiraled so badly after Prince Harry went missing in Africa. I'm looking forward to your reaction, but watch this first. But first, we've always associated chocolate with weight gain. But did you know it's actually been shown to help with fat loss? Studies show that cocoa flavonols, the active compounds in high-quality cocoa, can support fat metabolism, improve insulin sensitivity, and even help reduce abdominal fat. But you'd have to eat so much chocolate to get those benefits that the sugar and calories would cancel them out, or worse, lead to weight gain, not to mention the heavy metals like lead and cadmium found in many cocoa products. This is why I drink Morning Bean by Verso. It's a rich chocolate blend with all the proven benefits of cocoa without the junk. Every batch is third-party tested for heavy metals, so you're getting pure high flavanol cocoa you can actually feel good about. Instead of caffeine, it uses theobromine, a natural compound in cocoa that delivers all-day energy without overstimulating your nervous system. Plus, its ingredients are shown to support muscle growth and performance, improve metabolism, and provide micronutrients from superfoods and electrolytes to rehydrate and fuel your body. So yes, chocolate can help you lose fat, just not in the candy bar form. Since tanking Morning Bean, I've turned my morning ritual into something that supports my energy, my metabolism, and my goals. So start your day with Morning Bean for research-backed detox, energy, and health. Click the link below or visit morning.ver.so/outspoken and use the code outspoken for 15% off. That's morning.ver.so/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
There's so much here I could go into, but the most telling thing to me, I think, is that he went 3 days without allowing Meghan to speak to him, right? Or letting her know where he was. Now, if I'm Meghan Markle, I am spiraling out. I am spiraling out because this is the first sign that he will leave if it means he can get back into the royal family.
Right.
He's over there with his surrogate mom, you know, and it's very telling. Again, he's like a 45-year-old man. When you begin to lose your parents as an adult, I think healthy, integrated people make their peace with it. I don't think they go around shopping for somebody they can call mommy again or daddy again, you know? So he doesn't have a lot of internal resources of his own, but I think this is illustrative of him casting about emotionally for something and someone solid, someone he regards as a grown-up who can parent him, who can take care of him. And he wants it so badly from his dad. And it's unclear whether he's going to get it. And the clock is ticking because once he loses Charles, King Charles, that's it for him and Meghan. The door is firmly bolted shut by one King William.
Yeah.
Brittany, do you agree?
I think that's a very astute analysis from Maureen. And I think it's 100% true because we have that article from TMZ telling us how much Harry loves California. And yet he's going to Africa, he's going to the UK, he's begging basically for his family to seemingly take him back. And so I think Harry's heart at this point is very much fractured because while his kids are going to be Californians and raised there, he really wants home and he's desperately figuring out how to try and recreate this family atmosphere that Meghan forced him to give up. And I've always thought, given that Harry leaving his family, I don't think was truly his choice. He might have thought it was his choice in the moment, but I think it was Meghan just making ultimatums on him that forced him to make some very severe decisions that have long-term consequences for his relationship with his family. And we desperately see a guy who I think wants to be mothered. Meghan kind of filled that role, but obviously, I think that dynamic has severely broken down, and Harry's looking for other avenues. And he does have a father who is ailing, and I'm sure he wants to make peace with that. And Maureen is also 100% right in that once William becomes king, Harry has no route back in any stretch of the imagination. He is done. William, I think, will make the hard cuts that are needed to basically cut Harry out of the royal family completely. Like, they can maybe have a personal relationship, but when it comes to the institution, Harry is stripped of everything that matters. And I think William will be the one who makes those hard decisions. And at this point, Harry's sort of trying to grasp on and reclaim the life that Meghan forced him to give up, which is never, I don't think, a good sign of a marital dynamic.
Brittany, I wanted to ask too about the Daily Mail's very weird reporting around Prince William, Catherine, and the children's holiday, which was rumoured to be to the Greek island of Kefalonia. And this bizarre article, which they went so massive on, was one of many, right, where they had no actual facts, but they kept on running sort of supposition from locals about what may or may not have gone on. And in this case, and honestly, this is true, Brittany, well, it was my reading of the article. I don't know if you had a different article. It was basically an assumption that because this yacht that they were apparently were on had pulled up into this particular town that happened to have a McDonald's in it, that staff members must have been going to the McDonald's to procure, I think it was chicken nuggets or something like that, or Big Mac or whatever, for Prince George. And I find it very, very odd what the Daily Mail have been trying to do with this holiday of William and Catherine. Are you any the wiser to this?
I mean, I saw a little bit of some of these articles, and I saw people whispering online that, oh, Catherine and William were someplace and they were going to keep their silence or what have you. But there's just no evidence here at all. Like, we have no pictures, we have no firm evidence, and it could be just people making things up in order to draw attention to their locales or what have you. I mean, it could be true, but to say that a particular McDonald's request was for Prince George is just absolutely, I mean, they're just making things up, I think, at this point. I don't think the article has much basis on reality. They're just trying to churn up some sort of facts here out of the nothing they have. And for me, I just didn't even really go with it because I'm like, there's nothing here. Without a picture, without a firm sighting, we have nothing. Like, we saw that the family was at the airport a couple of years ago and they were going to that special, I think, Windsor suite or something before flying out. And we found out later they were going to Jordan. They scrubbed those pictures off the internet because of the security risks of going to Jordan. But we saw that they were there. And so it's like, we knew they were going someplace. We have no evidence here. They're on holiday. We don't know where. I just hope they're having a fantastic time wherever they're at.
Far more important journalism, Brittany, from the Daily Mail, and I will give them a lot of credit for this one, in regards to Princess Anne and the gunman who very nearly killed her back in 1974. And I think a lot of people forget about this incident, which proved why the Princess Royal is just so incredibly stoic, because of the bravery that she dealt with this. But look at this. Anne's kidnapped gunman is free. Lona, who tried to grab Princess and shot 4 men in 1974, is back on the streets. And the most critical thing, Brittany, are these last 3 words, and still obsessed. And they report the dangerous Lona, who tried to kidnap Princess Anne, is unrepentant and still obsessed. Mentally ill Ian Ball, then 26, stalked the Princess Royal one evening in March 1974 before ambushing her chauffeur-driven limousine and shooting 4 men who came to her aid. Appearing at the Old Bailey, he was detained without limit of time under the Mental Health Act after admitting attempted kidnap and 2 attempted murders. But the Daily Mail can reveal he is out of Broadmoor and is now campaigning to clear his name. He has been released on probation and can roam freely despite remaining fixated on that night on the Mall. After being released quietly in 2019, Ball self-published a disturbing book about the events of 1974 and visits old haunts in a bid to prove his innocence, despite having pleaded guilty in court. In an extraordinary interview with the Daily Mail, Ball, now 77, said, "I'm an innocent, sane man because I had good reason to believe the gunpowder had been taken out of the bullets and another girl had been substituted for Princess Anne." He claims he was wrongfully jailed by the upper classes, speculating that the late Queen was the ringleader and saying that they had kept an innocent, sane man in a criminal lunatic asylum because he is a very dangerous working class dissenter and a grave threat to their luxurious way of living. Brittany, I mean, an incredible, incredible story because, of course, if things had gone just ever so slightly differently, we would have been talking about an assassination of the Queen's daughter back in 1974, and it would be very unlikely that this man would ever be allowed to be on the streets again.
Yes, it sounds like he's still like that. He's trying to prove his innocence. There wasn't gunpowder in the gun, and just crazy things just show how disconnected from reality he is. It's a little bit disturbing that he's out there on the streets. And I mean, you have to give Princess Anne the maddest of props because I've listened to the interview in the 1970s where she describes this whole situation, her humor, and the fact that she essentially prevented her own kidnapping by kind of tricking him and getting back into the car. She somehow arranged that, locked the doors, and that he was out there and she's in the car. I was like, what are you going to do? And so there were so many people who were a part of that trying to subdue him and everything. And that this was very serious. Somebody got shot and they were really he was trying to kidnap her, the Queen's daughter, and that it was only due to the intervention of the police and Princess Anne herself that wasn't actually the case, but that this person is out and about is obviously concerning. And you got to wonder as well, obviously, the future security of other members of the royal family, particularly the Wales's children. I mean, they are under security apparatus, and why it's so important to have rigorous for security when it comes to the highest ranking members of the British royal family.
Very well put. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, thank you so much. And of course, for the best analysis of royal families from all across the globe, not just in Britain, do make sure that you subscribe to RNN, the Royal News Network, on both YouTube and X. And if you do want first access to our Royal Uncancelled After Show here on Outspoken every weekday, so Monday to Friday, first, either live or on demand, with no advertising whatsoever, then please do sign up to my Substack, www.outspoken.live. Substack is a free speech platform, so signing up really supports me in terms of protection from big tech cancellation and ongoing lawfare threats too. That's www.outspoken.live. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.